Welcome, Zambia, and it's a pleasure to welcome you on Beyond the Whistle. I'm your host, Isaac Chipwatanga. For the next 60 minutes or so, we give you in-depth look at what is transpiring as far as the 2026 FIFA World Cup as the tournament reaches its final crescendo in as far as the global showpiece is concerned. It's been a feast of football in North America. 48 teams began their quest to be crowned world champions. Are down to just the final two at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. It's either Spain or indeed Argentina who will be crowned champions on Sunday tomorrow. And it's the first time in the history of the tournament that we're having the champions of South America meet the champions of Europe in the final of the FIFA World Cup. It's been an eventful tournament so far. We've had a number of goals that have been scored. To be more precise, 297 goals have been scored at the 2026 FIFA World Cup in 102 matches. It's been a feast of goals at this particular tournament, and we'll be delving into the numbers a little bit later on the program. Speaking about the program, the menu is quite tasty because before we get to the final itself, we whet your appetite with the third and fourth playoff match. It's between the two heavyweights, and as far as French football is concerned, two-time champions of the world in France, Lockenhorns, against England, who were the champions way back 60 years ago in 1966. So we'll be previewing that particular encounter. Plus, of course, looking back at two eventful semi-finals that saw those two sides unfortunately bow out at the semi-final stage. But also our topic in focus on the program, we'll be talking about what is your best 11 at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is in reference to the standout players that have hogged the headlines, if you like, at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. To help me look at all this and much more on the program, I'm joined by two gentlemen in terms of football royalty on the Zambian soccer scene. On my immediate left, Ponga Liwewe, with 40 years experience in as far as Zambian football, wearing different hats, I must say, in Zambian football. But let's just say the former Football Association of Zambia General Secretary, to just encompass all the positions and titles that he's held in the world of football. Ponga, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Okay. And on the far side, to make sense of all the rumbling that I make as a presenter, is resident analyst on the show, Gezani Mbewa. Gez, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Isaac. It's good to be back. I think I've gone through, a lot different things that has happened at the World Cup.
Yeah.
I think starting from the first date that we have been beyond the whistle.
Yeah.
I think we've been having amazing, event at the World Cup.
Yeah, indeed. I've been hyper in my introduction, but let's tone it down a little bit because judging by the tone from Gezani and of course Ponga, we are in a period of national mourning, and true to the way we do things on Beyond the Whistle, it's only fair that we reflect a little bit on the legacy and impact that Guy Scott, the former Republican vice president, had in terms of football. Let me begin with you, Ponga. If you look at the man himself, they are present at Zambia's, most iconic moment in terms of football at the Africa Cup of Nations. But how would you summarize what Guy Scott meant to, Zambian football?
Yeah, I think he was a pivotal figure in Zambian football. As you know, you always need somebody behind the scenes who's pulling the strings.
Yeah.
And I think he played a role in that aspect. 2012, he led the delegation with two past presidents, President Rupia Banda and late President Kenneth Kaunda, to Gabon, where we were battling for the biggest match in our lives, and we triumphed. So you have to put that on his list of credits, because he led the delegation, an official delegation, and the fact that two head of states accompanied our vice president meant that the whole country was taking this matter very seriously. And I think it reflected in the way the team delivered and played in that match, because they gave everything. They knew it was a matter now beyond football and something that was of national interest.
Yeah, when you look at, some of those images, they'll go down the annals of our history, Gezani. What sort of memories do you have of Guy Scott in relation to, Zambian football?
Well, very dedicated, I think, even in the political scene, who saved, Zambia diligently. Of course, before, but even his saving, he had so much time to dedicate himself to sport, not only football. I think he served in ministerial position different. I think I remember him should be Minister of Agriculture. I remember where we used to stay. He's one of those who implemented, I think, when we had Yeromes, all those times. Why? Because he had the heart for the people instead of starving completely. But I think they had some things. Again, you talked about when he was part of the delegation. He led the delegation at the, I think, a CAF in 2012 when Zambia crowned the champions. These are the moments that they have every Zambian who was there at that moment, especially in Lusaka. We can say that some of the people, they didn't know where they slept, but the joy was around, because I think when it comes to the team needs a lot of things. Even when we were in Gabon to play the finals, he was in touch with the associations, making sure that all the needs are satisfied, are being reached, and make sure that the team is in a very good position. Because why? We had a listening government, and he was, I think, very much dedicated. There was a point that I think the captain was even explaining that we never expected the team to reach as far as the semi-finals. Sometimes even the resources that you could have had there, I think you deplete all the resources. Then later on, then because it was him, say, please, we need this, they need this, we deliver. So he was a man who was dedicated in terms of not only football, but in terms of all the sports. At one point, there was a scenario where I think the team needed to go and play football. Then there was a question that he asked, now, how do you just go without his supporters? And he was much involved to prepare even to charter the planes for the fans. So this is how he loved the sport. And today is gone. May his soul rest in peace. Of course, I think we just need to be together and make sure that as we are mourning this period, I think we appreciate what the big man did. When at some point when I was very young, sometimes I was very surprised when I think I met him. Muzungu anakamba chinyanja. So get surprised, like, because I think their mentality was all about when you see Muzungu should be speaking English. Wafika wakamba chinyanja. Muli bwanji once. How? And I remember very well. So I said so that's the love that he was down to earth. He could fit in the position where the environment where he is at that particular time.
Okay, so those are just reflections on Dr. Guy Scott, who sadly passed away a few days ago. And on behalf of BM Television and of course the crew here on Beyond the Whistle, we send our condolences to the family on the passing of the former Republican Vice President, that is Dr. Guy Scott. One of the vivid memories or videos I've been watching that have gone or resurfaced in the last couple of days since his passing was the fact that the former Republican President Rupiah Bwezani-Banda was speaking about that outing at the Africa Cup of Nations in 2012, and where they were seated in the VIP section with other former heads of states and sitting heads of states. They were busy asking him, how is it possible that your country is led by a vice president who happens to be white? I mean, this just shows how united Zambia is. And football was at the, center of, bringing people together, whether, you are white or black and all different races. And this is what, Guy Scott, stood for, uniting the nation. And at that particular moment, using the power and the power of football to unite a nation at one of Zambia's most historical highs in as far as the beautiful game. We can only, wish the family comfort during this difficult period of time. Let's move on and focus on the 2026 FIFA World Cup and specifically the two semi-finals. When you look at it, Geza, let me begin with you because Spain managing to do what a lot of people thought was impossible, getting the victory over, France, who looked like they were red-hot favorites to get to the final of this particular competition. Just remind our viewers of what transpired in this particular encounter.
Well, I think it was an unprecedented, game that a lot of people, they never saw Spain to win this one, because you're looking at the path where France, I think they passed it through up to the semi-finals. I think for me, they looked like a team that was scoring a lot of goals. and look at the quality of the likes of Mbappe, Dembele, Olise, who's been instrumental in this World Cup. A lot of people, they thought that I think this is a straightway win to France. But I stood here, and even my prediction, if you remember very well, I said that Spain, they're going to win by 2-1. And like, you are shocked. Even yourself, you are shocked. Say, how? And I think Clifford said, I think France, they're going to win by 4-2. I remember very well. But you look how football, De La Fonte, I think, managed to sack the pressure that the boys could have gone into these semi-finals with. And they looked, and the confidence that these players, they had, it was so amazing. You look at the build-up coming, I think it's Simeone. Remember that before this game, they just had conceded 1 goal. And even France, after playing the semi-finals, they failed to just break the defense of Spain. Look at this combination that has got so much ball position at this World Cup. The combination of America, Laporte, and also Pau. Pau, I think for me, he's been outstanding when it comes to the building up. I think this is one of the best football match that I've watched, where you starve France. They have got no position. You hold them. You look at Cucurella also from the left. I think Polo from the right. I think they could move. And look at the leadership that Rodri was able to, I think, to emanate into this game. France, they were nowhere to be seen. Rabiot, I couldn't sometimes recognize that he was in the game. I think it was all about, I think, domination. The dominance that they had also, you look at the build-up. There was a moment that there was even a flick, the back flick, that building up. That was amazing. And the boy just used his, I think, tactic, and he saw that, I think, whatever happens, he's going to be hit. And that's how they won the penalty. A clear penalty. That was not even discussed much. You could even see, sometimes the body language of somebody who has committed a penalty is going to tell you. After just committing that foul, he just walks out. He just walks, I think, away from the incident. That tells you that you accept that challenge. And it was a penalty. After converting, then later on we saw, I think, a brilliant pass that Polo was able to really commit, and that's how France, I think, they were doomed and being eliminated. But some of us, I think, when you take so much analysis, you'll be able to see that Spain, they have got ball players who are able to build from the back. If you are having a midfielder who is a more passer at the tournament, 648 passes, I think for me, you talk about the back line that has got more numbers of passes, that tells you a story. And that's how France, they were starved, and that's how they were made to pack and wait at the station to play the 3rd and 4th game.
Okay, it's not coming home because certainly the Argentines had a different idea in the second semi-final. It's got so much history attached to it. Ponga, walk us through the match that ended 2-1 in favor of Argentina, a replica of the result that happened 40 years ago in that infamous match in 1986.
Yeah, England scored 56 minutes, and then rather than stay in the game, they went into their shell. And I think that allowed Argentina to push forward. Messi drifted to the right, where he found a bit more space and was able to whip in some lovely balls into the box that eventually was the turning point of the game, because the 2 goals came from balls that he played from the right side. So I think that was the difference. But Argentina were always solid at the back. They ensured that whatever England had, because England had a lot of, the physical attributes that we know them for, Argentina ensured that they kept them quiet and took the game to them rather than let them come to Argentina's half. So that was the dominant side. Argentina dominating the play and, of course, using the skills and power of Messi down the right to create 2 goal-scoring opportunities, which made the difference at the end of the day.
Okay, using your old wise head of having been in football for quite some time, for a young viewer out there who might not understand what's the fuss about Argentina and, England, give us a historical perspective that has, led to this particular encounter in terms of, it having so much interest from not just local media, but international media.
Yeah, I think you have to go back to 1966, the World Cup that England won, that was played in England, where the match between Argentina and England was a volatile match in which we saw Ratin get sent off. We saw Argentina for a while stop play because Ratin refused to leave the pitch. So from that moment onwards, and then of course in the 80s,
that marked the beginning of a yellow card because apparently.
Before that, there was no yellow card introduced in football.
They claimed the Argentinians apparently claimed that they couldn't understand the language that the referee was speaking. So now the yellow card speaks, universal language.
So that was the start of the yellow card. Then, of course, in the 80s, 1982, there was the war over the Falkland Islands, or the Malvinas, as the Argentines call them, between England and Argentina. England sent a task force with ships and, of course, aircraft carriers, and there was some fighting there, which, of course, is still that bad blood, I think, is still between the two sides up till today. I saw the passion when the national anthems were playing, the way Argentina sang. You could see that they were singing from the heart, and the passion was really there. And so all that came into this match. Both countries fighting for not only for football, but because of the issues that went beyond football. But at the end of the day, Argentina was able to prevail because, one, they had a world-class player in Messi, and two, they kept their composure and played as a unit. Everybody gave everything for everybody else to ensure that they prevailed at the end of the day.
Okay, so it is set in cast and stone on Sunday at 21 hours Central African time or Zambian time. It is the battle between Argentina and, of course, Spain. Also being taunted as the battle between Messi and, of course, Lamine Yamal. Will the young boy be able to capture the throne that Messi has had for quite some time in the world of football, in a significant moment that a lot of people are talking about it being probably the time that the baton is being handed over to Lamine Yamal? But will Lionel Messi allow that on his watch? Only time will tell in that regard. Let's just interest you to the official overall results in as far as the 102 matches that have been played at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And I'm going to come to you, Gezani. When you look at those results, which one, if you had to pick a single match, really stands out to you as the result that has really, surprised you at this particular, World Cup?
Well, I think there's got a lot because you're talking about 102 games.
We're going to keep it at one. Yes, one game that you look at that result and you say, I didn't see this one coming.
It's Cape Verde versus Spain. Yeah, because I was looking at...
You choose a nil scoreline when there's multitude of goals in the other games? Why?
It was unique because it was not all about, I think, a new, but the occasions and how I think the key notes that were, I think, are played within that game. I think when you're having a goalkeeper that has got close to 8 saves, Vozinha for me was really outstanding. And the defense that I think... even Africa, we never thought that Cape Verde, they are going to represent us that far. And why I've picked this one is that Cape Verde also is the only team that went to the World Cup and never lost the game within 90 minutes, and they were booked out of the World Cup.
And they never lost a match against the two finalists.
And two finalists, Argentina and
so maybe they're the third best
Spain.
team at this World Cup.
So if we were to pick the top 5, maybe I think Cape Verde can have it. But I think regardless of being a new game, everything was around it. Because I think the defense, I think even Cape Verde could, at one point, I think at least shoot on target. So that tells you a story saying that football is improving in Africa, because you are coming to the team that has been really murdering teams. Talking about even head-to-head right now, when talk about against France, against Argentina, Spain, you see them that they've got an upper hand. So this is the game that I think I kept so close. I said, let me watch this game. And Cape Verde, knowing them, I think coming from Africa, they were the debutants of that World Cup. I think for me, I was so much impressed with what had happened. Of course, there is no goals, but it was full of sparks.
Okay, Ponga, 102 matches that we've witnessed so far. Your standout results and why?
I think Norway beating Brazil, because always Brazil comes to the World Cup with so much hype and so much expectation and history behind them. And there was a Norwegian side that, not maybe the biggest European side in terms of football standard or football levels, but were able to dismantle this giant of world football.
Yeah.
And the way they did it comprehensively without really breaking into a sweat, showed the organization, the qualities, the finishing, the tactical acumen of Norwegians. I think that was the difference between the two sides.
Yeah.
For me, that was a standout moment.
Okay. For me, as a presenter, well, I don't get to, analyze these things, but that's feel confident that we're going to get to 300, considering that we have 2 matches to go.
Yeah, yes, of course. We've got 2 matches to go. That is the 3rd and 4th playoff. And I expect some goals there.
Yeah.
Because I think it is all about, there's pride. These 2 teams, when they're meeting, there's so much pride, England and France, because they want to show something. Always England, they will try to convince you that EPL is the most powerful league in Europe. And then also France will tell you that if you talk about the European Champions League in consecutive, I think you need to talk about the team that is playing in France. So always there is that tussle of really understanding who's going to thrive. So it will bring a lot some goals, but also the finals. Spain might not score a lot of goals, but I believe that Argentina, of course, they'll score some goals. If we reach 300 goals, for me, that will be great World Cup. Because I know it has been amazing. A lot of games we've been just having maybe 64 games, but this time we are supposed to have 104 games. I think for me that is really, it's achievable and attainable, this World Cup 2026.
Okay, dating back to the first World Cup hosted in 1930, over 3,000 goals have been scored at the FIFA World Cup. So we wait with bated breath to see whether 300 goals will be scored at this particular 2026 FIFA World Cup. Let's catch a breather on the other side of the break. We go straight into our topic of discussion, talking about the best 11s in as far as the competition is concerned. Both these 2 gentlemen have already given their 11 in as far as the tournament is concerned. We'll be dissecting and analyzing why they've chosen those particular players right after this break.
UTBM University, the prime institution for lifelong learning. Enroll your university education now. Call 0978 430872, 0977 766866. Email utbmuniversity@gmail.com or simply log to www.utbmuniversity.org.
Fabulous Engineering Limited, Zambia's largest and the most advanced engineering company. We have the following products: hydraulic pipe fitting, roller shutter doors, farming equipment, mining equipment, plasma cutting, surface grinders, shearing machines, spiral ducting pipes, rolling machines, flat bending machines. We install industrial plants and carry out all type of turning, machining, fabrication and engineering works. We also manufacture different sizes of locally made fabulous pots. For more details, visit our website www.fabulousengineering.com. Our new premises, we are located at plot number 7204 Kachiza Road, behind Migma, PO Box 38005, Lusaka, Zambia. Or call us on +26095 764011 or +2609796 98382 or +2609690 64419. Fabulous Engineering Limited, Zambia's largest and the most advanced engineering company.
when it comes to building, the biggest worry for people is, are they going to find the right products? Are they going to find good quality? Are they going to find long-lasting products? Here at Gemis Enterprises Limited, we deal in interior construction, which includes ceiling boards, tiling, painting, and we end it with the kitchen and the wardrobe. We are found in Light Industrial Area off Lumumba Road behind MICMA. Our Facebook page is Gemis Home Recreation, and you can call me on 0966 30 98 33.
Of your company. You're still watching Beyond the Whistle here on the BNTV channel 114 on your top star. Okay, my name is Isaac Chipatanga alongside Ponga and of course Gezani, giving me analytical perspectives in as far as what is happening at 2026 FIFA World Cup. Time for us to focus on our topic of discussion. We're simply asking, what is your best 11 at the 2026 FIFA World Cup? The standout players from goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and of course strikers that have done well at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. To begin the discussion, probably let's look at Gezani's selection of his best 11 in as far as the 2026 FIFA World Cup on your screens. And a number of, players, Gezani, when you look at, this particular list, the viewer out there would easily agree that, these are the players which have stood out. But in particular, when you look at, Achraf Hakimi, Morocco, you're looking at, players who have not played as many games. What was the mind, what was the thought behind, putting in a player like, Achraf Hakimi, who's played considerably less matches than other, players in the tournament?
Well, if you look at how Hakim is going to give you the service, but he's able to defend, and even defending, if you look at even the crosses,
when
even
you say defend, but where was he against the French?
Well, I think he's a defender, but sometimes he's able to boom forward.
Yeah.
But again, that result does not mean that I think he was very bad. Look at how the French team scored.
Because one would argue that Mbappe in that game scored a curler coming off the wing where Achraf Hakimi operates on the right side of that defense.
I'm looking at the position where I've taken him to play. The right back, I think at the moment at the World Cup, I've never seen somebody who has been outstanding like Hakim, because he's been so special.
Yeah.
He's able to boom forward. He's able to, I think his crosses are up to date. After, I think, being eliminated by a French team, even up to date, he made more crosses than any other player. If you talk about physicality, also the interception of the ball, playing the ball, I think within their area, their own area, I think for me he was outstanding.
Yeah.
So even at the moment, he still holds the same statistics, like in terms of, I think, his good performance. So up to date, I've not seen somebody who has played from the light back like Hakim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to Ponga's 11 and compare and contrast between these two, 11s at the World Cup. When you look at the striking department, particularly Erling Haaland, you've gone with Ponga. Gezani has gone with Harry Kane. What's the thought process behind, putting in, Erling Haaland when, Harry Kane is still in the competition?
Well, I think Haaland has shown, even at Manchester City and also at this World Cup, that he's, in terms of what you call centre forwards or number nines, he's slightly above everybody else, because his goal scoring rate is phenomenal. You may not see him that much in a match, but when it comes to putting the ball in the net, I think he's unmatched in terms of his quality. That's why I stood out for him.
Okay, let's look at Ponga's starting 11, because this is where my next question is coming in, and I'm not so sure if I understand the thinking or the thought process behind it. You've gone with Gregor Kobel in between the sticks as the goalkeeper at the expense of Unai Simon.
Yeah.
Kobel has already conceded 5 goals at this particular World Cup, has played less matches than Unai Simon, which Gezani went with.
Yes.
Simon has only conceded 1 goal. What's the logic?
I think
there?
Simone has been protected by a solid back four, which wasn't the case with Kobel.
One would want to
Kobel
argue.
was more in the game.
I know, old man, that you come from an era where, Efo Chavala has to save 15 goals.
No, I judge a goalkeeper based on his activity. One is protected by defense, so he may, in a match, only have one real opportunity.
So the argument would be, from those who support Unai Simon, I want to pose this question.
My argument is that I look at a goalkeeper who's busier and who has to pull off brilliant saves.
Okay.
For me, that was my point of judging.
So here's a point. The ones who argue in favor of Unai Simon will probably say, Simon is such a good goalkeeper that before the threat comes to him, he organizes his defense so well.
The defense organizes itself, not he organizes it.
But he's always shouting at behind them to, tuck inside and all that. So isn't that part of being a good goalkeeper when you organize the defense so that the threat is limited?
If your defenders are not strong and solid and tough guys, you can shout as much as you want as a goalkeeper, but people walk through them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the defense sort of he not that we want him to play in front of an exposed defense, no, but he's a good goalkeeper, but his defense has limited goal scoring chances against him. So he hasn't been as tested as Kobel, who on the other front has had opportunities where he's on one-on-one situations, he's had to pull out brilliant saves. I think that was my contention in looking at which goalkeeper among the others, when tested, had to rise to the occasion. Okay. And that was my thinking behind choosing.
We're coming to Gezani's lineup and we're puncturing holes in it. But let's begin, let's look a little bit more in detail at Ponga's 11. And I want to get your thoughts, Ponga, on this particular 11. You've gone with Ayoud Bouabi in that midfield from Morocco. 18-year-old making his debut at this particular World Cup. He's done well, but at the expense of players like Mikel Merino, who's been the super sub for Spain, scoring important goals from that midfield.
Yeah, because he's stuck in his role. He's played more like a screen in front of the back four, which is what I was looking for. I was looking for a balance in the middle. Bellingham pushes forward a lot. Olise is also involved more on the offensive players. So I was looking for somebody who sits back a little bit more and provides a screen in front of the back four, which is why Bouabi for me was a player who stood out in that role as somebody who sat in front of the back four and kept things tidy and took the pressure off the defense.
Okay, let's go back to Gezani's, starting 11, or should I say best 11 for the World Cup. And there lies a number of questions, Gez. The one that really caught my attention is IMEC report. Why him in that defense? Why?
Well, if you look at how they are playing their defense, it's a defense that comprises of, I've even put there's Pau, a 19-year-old defender, and he's getting experience from Laporta. And for me, he's shown that experience. When you are watching Spain, you'll be very happy because you look at how the technique that the goalkeeper Simeone is going to, they'll start the game just within 18. And the way they're going to play it, I think for me, that's what has really helped Pau to play the way he is, Kubasi. But in terms of I think America, I think for me, he's been outstanding. Very good on the ball. I think he's got the sight. I think he's working, I think together with Rodri, the Manchester City, I think the captain. For me, this is what has made me say, I don't want to go with the two holding midfielders. I just need Rodri, I think just after the center backs. And later on, that's the reason there's Olise to play and accompany the likes of Rodri. So for me, Amelik, I think for me, he's been outstanding and he's got the sight. The communication that he has, he's able to work with the goalkeeper also. So he knows how to position himself. I think for me, he's provided, the goalkeeper so much very well this World Cup.
Let's look at your lineup again. And my final question surrounding your lineup there. When you look at Jude Bellingham, almost non-existent in the game against Argentina, Michael Olise almost didn't provide any sort of attacking spark for the French. What ticks the boxes for those two players to be in your starting 11?
Well, I think Olise has got more assists than any other midfielder at the World Cup. He's got 5 assists.
When people would argue and say that when the going gets tough, that's when you need your big players to stand up. He definitely didn't stand up in that game.
Well, I think when he never, I think, assured that and he stood before his team against Spain. I told you, Spain always, they'll protect the ball. They'll keep the ball. You can continue chasing. They will not allow, because it's simple. Their tactic is when they don't have the ball, in transition period, they will not give you more than a minute to have the ball. They will make sure that they run and get the ball out from you. How they press? They'll press together. When they get the ball again, then you see them split and give you a difficult time for you to regain that ball again in your position. So this is what I decided, at least when I go with Olise, he knows when you are in position with the ball, you'll be able to pass the ball, you'll be able to, I think, to provide an assist to the goal pass. Jude, for me, regardless of this performance that he had against Argentina, why I think also when they scored, they started sitting so deep in their zone. Hence, Jude was nowhere to be seen. I think sometimes it's all about, they are so much scared also of Messi. Sometimes you could see 3 players, I think, make sure that Messi is being caged. But it was difficult because Messi is Messi. He's a magician. But also, Jude, I think for me, he's been having a very good game. Apart from this game that they lost against Argentina. But for me, I think he's been outstanding. He's got the side to score. He's got the side to backtrack and help the defenders. We saw him, I think he played so deep in the game they played against Argentina. So I think for me, he still has shown that he's a player. He's very young, and he's shown the signs. I've gone with a combination of experienced and also, I think, a very young, talented
Let me borrow your word, experience, and because he's the most experienced statesman on the program, he has to have the final say on our topic. Ponga, let's go back to your 11, and there you will find that you've gone with Lucas Digne of France as your left back, at the expense of Cucurella, who, Gezani, pointed out to be his, preferred left back. Cucurella has got all the statistics to go with the fact that he's provided 3 assists at this particular World Cup. When people think about Digne, the lasting impression in their mind, their image, is going to be of him fouling Lamine Yamal, giving away that penalty. And eventually, because Lamine Yamal gave him such a torrid time, was substituted. So why have you gone with Digne in this? I
think he's solid, he's strong. And I look at him as a defender. I don't look so much in this case at the offensive side of the fullbacks moving forward. Because I think this midfield has got enough creativity. I like my back 4 to be guys who are strong, tough, rigid at the back, who keep things shut and keep the offensive team from creating anything inside that defense. So that's why I've chosen defenders who mainly are solid at the back and don't give much away.
For the sake of our viewers, who
the formation, by the way, is 4-3-3.
Yeah. So in this 4-3-3 formation, who manages this team? Because we know in star-studded teams, normally egos are a problem.
I would go with De La Fuente because he showed, I think, particularly against France, that he's a man who his focus is on the team as a unit rather than individual brilliance of players, but somebody who can hone a team into one unit that they function all on the same wavelength and on the same page. So I would definitely pick him as the man to manage this team.
Okay, he's gone with De La Fuente, a man who has safely secured passage for this Argentinian side to the final. And of course, he orchestrated Spain's victory in as far as the Euro is concerned. Gezani, final look at your team and who will ultimately, coach or manage this particular team, and why? What attributes does he bring in terms of man management that you've decided upon?
If you've looked on that squad that I've picked, it has got should be close to 4 players coming from Spain, and the one that I'm really comfortable to work with on that team should be De La Fuente.
Okay,
I think for me, fantastic that he understands how the defense is supposed to be. Last season I've picked 3 players from the back, and there's a midfielder also. So if you can see there's no Ramin, because I think Upland, they have gone with experience also that can be, I think, scoring a lot of goals. In terms of position of the ball, my defenders will come to party.
Of course, they may disagree on a number of things, but have agreed on a number of things also in those lineups. 4 players that both of them went with in their particular lineups, the likes of Messi and, of course, Bellingham and, of course, Mbappe, all named in both Gezani and Ponga's starting 11. I'm surprised none of them went with the manager to coach this particular side in Scaloni, because he's the current champion in as far as world football is concerned and has managed to orchestrate Argentina's passage safely through to the final of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But hey, those are just my thoughts. You can also leave your thoughts in the comment section on our Facebook page, where we're streaming this edition of Beyond the Whistle live on our Facebook page, which is BMTV Zambia, channel 114 on the Facebook platform. Time for us to move away and now focus on the action on the field of play. And tonight it's all about England, and of course France in the third and fourth playoff. Let's begin by looking at the England, aspect of the game. Let me come to you, Gezani. There's been so much talk about, Thomas Tuchel and his, tactics and substitutions. Let's look at the substitutions that he made in that, semi-final against, Argentina, that ultimately the English on the Three Lions lost by a tune of 2-1. When you look at those, substitutions after they went ahead in the 55th minute, one thing you notice is that in the green there, Eric Konsa, Dan Burn and Nico O'Reilly, all defenders that were brought on into that England setup. Was the undoing of England largely because of the defensive tactics of Tuchel?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, the substitutions that the coach made did not help him. And maybe sometimes after Argentina, they allowed their goal, they never looked like jittery. Because you could see their head was also still up and they believed in themselves. So you are the coach. You are supposed to you understand. Then have they panicked? Because it came to maybe close to 10 minutes after they considered that goal for them to make the first substitution. That tells you that the coach still believes that the team can deliver. But what did the coach do? He brings up 3 defenders. I think for me, even the coach opposite direction, or your opponent will be able to say, I think there's so much panic, they want to defend. And that's when now you saw, like, he brought in 2 strikers. And when he brought in 2 strikers, I think he substituted the defenders. Then they looked like a team that wanted to score. In position of the ball, they played about 10 minutes. They were just attacking in the zone area of England. And hence, that's how they managed to equalize. But again, you cannot blame the coach, because them, they thought that we can manage to hold on this after new, but it was too early, because you've got a magician who is able to play and change the game at any time. And maybe that's the reason that I think people from England, they are really just are blaming him on his substitutions. But that's how football is. If he had won, everyone was going to say that he had to tighten the screws, and that's how we managed to protect the lone goal that we scored. But now that Messi and the team had their, other plans, then everyone is now looking at, the coach like he failed the team. But that's how football is.
Let's look at, one statistic in terms of ball possession that England had after the 55th minute that they managed to go ahead through, Gordon's goal. The statistic really damning. 12% that England on average had in terms of possession between Anthony Gordon's opener and Lautaro Martinez's stoppage time winner. It shows us, Ponga, that, they went into their defensive shell. But my question is, Thomas Tuchel did the same thing when he was leading by a goal against Mexico in the Azteca Stadium. Everybody was singing his praises. And
Argentina is not Mexico.
And they still got the result. But my point is it justifiable, the criticism that Tuchel is getting? Because considering that this is an English side that hasn't won anything in 60 years, so really to go into your defensive shell and try to get a result, especially if the tactic had just worked out 3-4 days ago against Mexico, isn't that the direction that you expect him to take?
I think Mexico don't have a Messi. That's one thing that should be taken into consideration. Because Messi, the word I've heard used here is magician.
Yeah.
There's no better word to describe him,
Yeah.
because he does things that nobody expects.
Yeah.
And both goals came from him. I was listening to one of the podcasts with Lineker and a couple of other English guys who were asking why Messi, despite Tuchel knowing that Messi has this ability, allowed him so much time and space on the right to whip in those balls. There was a debate about why couldn't they attach somebody to close him down,
Yeah.
you know, to cut the supply of crosses into the box, because that supply from the right is really what turned the game. And if you don't close him down, because there was a whole debate about how are they going to close down Messi. You know, others were saying even if you put somebody there, he would still find a way to get those crosses into the box. But
You still drop this.
yeah, so it's a whole other debate. But I think the pressure on Tuchel now, and I was reading somewhere that he was considering not continuing in the England job. I think a lot of pressure on him after this result. Then people were saying, well, we had Southgate and we brought him in. We made him come in, Tuchel, because we believed that his level of tactical acumen is higher than a Southgate, who would have taken that defensive mode. We thought he would bring something a little bit different, but he hasn't. So it's a whole other debate. But I think the debate is whether he went defensive too early, which I fully believe and agree that he went. Once that goal had gone in for England in 56 minutes, the time remaining was too long for somebody to sit back and let the Argentinian team come and put pressure on the back four or the defense of England. It was almost impossible for England to hold that pressure for that amount of time that was remaining.
Let's look at the timing of those particular
but
goals.
sometimes when it comes to the coach, one thing that I've noticed that even the time that he was named as the English coach, I think a lot of people who played football, especially the former footballers, they were against it. So now it is becoming like, it has become now a point where even those people that they believe that was not going to be a better coach, it has come time for them to say, I think they have not given it, I think, with the kids' glove when it comes to talking about him. But they have to look at, like Uncle Ponga is saying, 66 years, close to that, they have never won anything tangible.
Yeah.
Not even a Euro, not even World Cup has eluded them. But why you want to sacrifice Tuchel? I think he sacrificed that because he knew that a lot of former footballers, the likes of Lampard, the likes of John Terry's, they had their own say when he was the coach, namely the coach. So I think they need to handle this thing, I think, very careful. Of course, they believe that I think they have grown. They have expanded in terms of understanding football. They can have their own English coach to coach them. But in terms of what Tuchel has done, he has done not very bad at the World Cup.
But let's look specifically at the timings of the 3 goals that were scored in this match between England and, of course, Argentina. We've spoken so much about the opener on 55 minutes by Gordon. But look at the timings where Argentina managed to score 5 minutes before and then 2 minutes after regulation time. Almost no time for England basically to react and come back into this particular game. Ponga, let me come to you because I want to ask, is this the coach or should the players shoulder some of the blame? Because it looks like it's a lack of concentration. They're thinking we're almost over the line, but they're not yet over the line and concede so late in this particular encounter.
I think it's a question of pressure. Because you'll see the time of the goal. It's late in the game, but the pressure has been sitting in that defense for how long? And something has to give way, And they brought in Dan Burn, whose height and physical presence was supposed to be a difference. But I see when the cross came in, he was nowhere. Even the guy who scores the header is not the biggest of players.
Yeah.
But that is more testament to Messi's quality and ability to pinpoint where he wants to put that ball, and he puts it right where somebody is able to head the ball. It's not just a cross into the box, hopeful that anyone will get onto it. It's targeted at a specific player That's a quality of a world-class player. To be able to put a pinpoint cross exactly where somebody's going to nod it into the goal, and that's exactly what happened.
I asked whether
bringing in Dan Burn and all these big guys and all that, you know, when somebody has that ability to pinpoint, I think is futile.
I'm asking this question whether the blame should be shouldered by both the coach and the players in this regard. And it ties into two of the next questions that I'm going to ask. When we look at the graphic of the goals England have conceded at the 2026 FIFA World Cup on your screen, you will quickly notice, Gezani, that all the goals that England have conceded at this particular, World Cup, majority of them have come from inside the box. In fact, they've only conceded once. So in a way, should we blame Thomas Tuchel for sitting back, knowing fully well that his team doesn't defend very well when they're close to their goal?
So the only goal that I think we witnessed was, I think, Fernandes, the one that is scored outside 18. That was brilliance. Again, if you look at, sometimes it's all about the movement at your defense.
Yeah.
If you are not very disciplined, you are going to allow some goals, because sometimes it can just maybe get out of your foot, and somebody can just, I think, score.
Yeah.
So in terms of defense, they are not very bad, but I think the way they manage their, I think, movements within their area, that's what they're supposed to check. You don't need to have a lot of position if you know that your 4-5, they are not skillful like that of the Spain. So I think for me, it is all about, they have allowed some goals, yes, but in terms of where Argentina came from, I think that blistering shot Fernandes had, the first goal, the equalizing goal, was outstanding. After that, then I just told even the people that I was watching football with, I said, now England is gone.
Okay.
Why? Because I was looking at now the pressure. If they had known they were going to go for another, another water break, but it was already given. They had already sustained the 2 water breaks already.
I come to you, Ponga, because I said that maybe the blame should be shouldered both between the coach and the players. And when you look at this next statistic about Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham in this particular match, you will agree with me that to a certain extent the players need to, shoulder some of the blame. 0 touches on the opposition back, in the opposition backs of Argentina throughout the 90 minutes by 2 of their key players, Jude Bellingham and, of course, Harry Kane. England in total have scored 14 goals at this World Cup. 12 of them have come from the boots of Harry Kane or, of course, Bellingham. They didn't come to the party. So clearly you can't tell me from minute 1 in the game, Thomas Tuchel had his tactics wrong, because they were really comfortable in taking the game to Argentina up until that 55-minute mark. So why weren't his 2 key players really in the game? So shouldn't they shoulder some of the blame?
Difficult question, because, they haven't scored, so you have to look. But for how long, particularly in the second half, you can erase the entire second half, because the ball was never played in Argentina's half of the pitch, where they could do damage. And even when it was there, I think the quality of the final ball, there was a lot of debate in England when Tuchel picked his left out Cole Palmer and several other guys who are more creative to work with more industrious players who run up and down, who work hard. I think that was his more focus. And so for those guys to get into those opportunity chances, they need a player who will deliver a kind of ball that will, split a defense.
Yeah.
England didn't really have that in this World Cup. So I wouldn't put much blame on the strikers to say...
That's where Alexander-Arnold maybe could have fitted.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the guys up front didn't get or didn't create much in terms of movement or opportunity. The way the team was set up to play was not so much for the creativity in the last third. And I think that was the price they paid in this last game where they've been eliminated.
Okay. But when you look at this next statistic, you agree with me that maybe this chorus of it's coming home, and yet they are going home, maybe, doesn't really hold water, because, the statistics in terms of the last, 10 matches that England have played against the top 10 ranked teams, and you'll be able to see it on your screen, doesn't particularly read pretty well This is England's record in their last 10 matches at the FIFA World Cup against top 10 ranked teams. They've only managed one win. That was that 1-0 victory against Argentina in 2002. David Beckham with a goal from the penalty spot. Ever since in the World Cup from 2002 up to 2026, Gezani, when they met a team that is ranked in the top 10, they don't win. So why are we even surprised that again Argentina got the better of them?
Well, every time that you talk about England, they believe that they are improving. So how do they show that they have improved? It's all about, I think, at least winning something.
Yeah.
And still, the same story, that people, they got so upset when the likes of Saka missed the penalty. They are going back. But this time, it's another story, not of blaming Saka and Rashford of missing shootouts.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about the coach. They are bouncing back to the coach. I think if I took leave, they will need to make sure that they make somebody who played for England to be the coach. But do they have that quality coach who's going to give them the results? So as much as, first they need to understand themselves how they should win this one. They should draw up a map how they want to win. Today we are talking about Argentina. Today we are talking about Spain. They have given an opportunity to youngsters. And this is the reason that they are playing the finals. But even to them, sometimes they don't need to be scared to get on players. Even as young as 18-year-old can do marvelous work at the World Cup. Talking about even 19-year-old, Pau is just a 19-year-old, but he's there. I think playing like he's a veteran defender. So they need to come out of the shell and say, if a player is good, look at Ngomao. I think Leo, for me, was fantastic. He was with part of the team, English team. He just played the friendly games and was able to score a goal. But they said, I think we need, odd guns to make sure that we are with them. So I think for me, at one point, regardless of how old you are, as long as the player is able to help them, is able to play good football, let them include in the squad. But it's another story. I think a Euro is coming very soon. I hope that they work around their house and get back to their winning ways.
Okay, we're going to have to, focus a little bit more on France because they are the other team involved in the third and fourth playoff. But maybe that statistic speaks to the fact that maybe it's not Thomas Tuchel who's got the problem. Maybe it's the mentality, because Thomas Tuchel was not the coach in 2002, 2006, and all the other, subsequent, tournaments. Maybe it's a situation whereby the mentality of the players themselves is just not strong enough from an English perspective to get over the line when it matters the most. But hey, that's a story for another day. Ponga, let's talk about Didier Deschamps, because he's the man in the dugout for the French in this third and fourth match against England. When you look at his record, absolutely impeccable. One of the three, people in world football to have won it as a player and of course as a coach. The titles he's won since he was brought in as manager in 2012, winning the World Cup in 2018, winning the UEFA Nations League in 2021, and all those accolades. What's his legacy as he's leaving his position after this match tonight?
I think he can walk away with his head high and feel proud of what he has achieved. The loss against Spain, I think, was against a better side. Spain on the day were the better, tactically better side. I think he can accept that. But he's taken them to the World Cup. Close. He's won it once and been in another final and a semi-final. So I think three World Cups in succession, he has put France in the top four, twice in the top two, and then third time in the top four.
Yeah.
I think he can be proud of what he has achieved and leave a foundation for whoever comes up next to continue from there to take French football forward.
Okay. When you talk about Didier, Deschamps, you're speaking about, as I said, one of only three people to win the World Cup as both a coach and a player. How difficult is it for the French to replace him after this particular World Cup, considering the job that he's done as head coach?
Well, he's a giant, such that his gold medals and silver medals, putting them in somebody's pockets, who is a coach in England, cannot even move a step. It's too heavy. He's done a great job.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I don't feel like in France it would be very difficult to find a replacement because always they've got, I think, they have nurtured their former players very, very well. They have got discipline. they understand that the nation needs us to unite.
Yeah.
You can see how he was even coaching. There's Makereres, all these, they come together. How I wish what I've seen at the World Cup can be done even in Africa, where our former players, they are able to come and help even the sitting in coach. I can say sitting in coach because at one point you see them even visiting the training sessions, and you see, oh, okay, maybe you can do this. And not only that, they are not even in the technical committees, but they have got the heart for the team. How they would have seen and say, I think you are lacking here. I hope that Africa can emulate to that.
Okay.
Not to Kaunachewa, former player, then at the ground, you are training here in Zambia. You feel like my job is already gone.
Okay.
I think we can't go any far.
Well,
but I believe that I think it will be not difficult in France to replace him. But what is done, everyone who's going to come in is a hit position that you need to take with a lot of care.
A number of players in that French side haven't gotten enough game time. In fact, if you look at, N'Golo Kante, for instance, hasn't gotten even a single minute under Didier Deschamps in terms of playing time at this particular World Cup. Another name, Ponga, that springs to mind in that French side is probably Cherki on the books of Manchester City. Do you see Deschamps ringing the changes in this particular encounter?
It depends on how much he values coming third in a World Cup. A lot of coaches I know would say, it's my chance to give everybody a chance to play, get out on the field and, at least experience the World Cup. Other coaches would be more focused on the result and say, I'm going to put out my strongest team. But I don't think for France, having played in the last 2 World Cups, it's so important for them to come third.
No.
Maybe it will be an opportunity for other players to come out and showcase their ability at the World Cup.
Especially players like Kante, because probably this is his last World Cup. It will probably give him a swan song.
True. He hasn't been on the field. Understandable, because the players who started were definitely younger, fitter, coordinated better. Some of them playing the same club side. So I think Deschamps may say, I'm going to give everybody else a chance, and we close the chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many people don't want to play the third and fourth playoff. It's safe to say. Many people have even branded it the loser's final. But when you look at the Golden Boot race, and you look at, players like Harry Kane, and you'll be able to see the likes of, Kylian Mbappe in the running for the Golden Boot. Do you expect, key players like those ones to be part and parcel of the starting lineup, Gezani?
Oh, yes. If you look at Mbappe, this is the time that now, because he's behind Messi. Messi has got 3 assists. Maybe 3 assists. That makes him to be on top of
4,
Mbappe.
actually.
4 assists. That makes him to be on top of Mbappe. And Mbappe would love to score a goal. In case Messi doesn't score in the finals, then he wins the Golden Boot I think award. So I think it's a must. For me, if I'm Mbappe, I'll tell them I need to play this one because for the sake of there's an accolade that awaits. I might achieve on that.
Okay. Should FIFA, Ponga, consider just discarding the third and fourth player? Because everybody's mood in these squads potentially is just dampened by the fact that they've lost the semi-final 2 or 3 days before. To ask a coach now to try and motivate these players whose morale is so low, should FIFA just decide, well, whichever semi-final team loses by the smallest margin, maybe just gets the third and fourth player, because nobody really wants to play this.
Yeah, from a player's perspective, it's not that keen, but from a viewing perspective, maybe it still has a little bit of value to fans to find out who is the third best country in the world. For the teams having reached the semi-final, I don't think it's that important for them to come third. But more for the fans, the countries, the people who follow the game. Maybe for them it's a little bit more interesting.
Okay, just quickly, time for us to look at the head-to-head statistics as we come into the end of the show and see what we can read into these particular numbers. Let me begin with you, Gez. What are you reading when you look into those statistics? 32 matches. England have managed 17 victories in comparison to 10 for France. But when it comes to the World Cup, it's the English leading by 2 goals to 2 matches, about 2 wins to France's 1.
Well, I think if you look at England, they always enjoy when they're playing against France because they seem to be, they play as 3 lions, unlike when they played against 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 Argentina when we just maybe saw about maybe just one lion. So I think it shows you that they've got a very good, I think, head-to-head record against France. But this, I think, they might just forget about the statistics and play this one, because seems like in terms of quality, France, they have got much, I think, quality compared to England.
Ponga, you have the last say on the show. When, footballers these days, in this era that we're living in, everybody has got a smartphone. They read about, the fixture. They read about the history of the fixture. They come across these statistics, and the players themselves who have access to these statistics. Psychologically, what does this do to both the players of England and the players of France as they head into this particular match? Especially if you're in England, player, at the back of your mind, you're saying to yourself, we always get the better of the French, or we've got a better record against them. Could complacency come into the equation?
I don't think so. I think the French will feel that this World Cup, they've been the better team.
Yeah.
And probably will want to go and get that win over England.
Okay.
Based on the fact that they've played the better football. They've been, higher rated than England in World Cups. I think that's enough motivation for them to go out for the win.
Quick predictions, without explanations. Who's winning, England versus, Argentina?
Well, it's 3-1. It's 3-1 in favor of France.
Just because you're wearing a blue shirt, but anyway. What's your thoughts?
I think France will win, maybe 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah, to France.
They never agree on anything, but thankfully, as we're coming to the end of the show, they've managed to find common ground. On behalf of Ponga and, of course, Gezani, who've been excellent in terms of their analysis on the show, my name is Isaac Chipotanga. On behalf of everybody behind the scenes, providing crystal clear, high-definition picture, sound quality, and of course, beyond the whistle, that has been, giving you the best in as far as the 2026 FIFA World Cup is concerned. We'll see you tomorrow with another blistering show of Beyond the Whistle. Bye-bye.